Welcome back to the program. Does anyone
table.
say pro? You ever hear someone say? My dad says program, and he says it just
program?
to like. Yeah, and he'll say if we're playing Settlers of Catan, he'll say, "Do you have any wheat?" And it's
What the fuck?
there's just certain things.
So he's a mispronunciation assassin. Like he's just going around mispronouncing words willy nilly. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and it's not even like he's trying to do a cute dad joke thing. He just does it to like low key fuck with you, and you can tell he doesn't like. He's picking a fight.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, tell me I say program fucked up. Like I dare,
He's flexing. He's like, you make a big deal about this shit?
Right.
We're trying
And
to
we're
do a
just like-
Thanksgiving. Are you gonna make a big deal about how I say program? Come on.
Yeah, pass the pro. Like, what are you talking about, Dad? We're eating turkey. There's
Get
no
with the program.
You know? So welcome to the program. Hopefully, this is gonna be a fun episode, not like last week's. I think
Yeah.
we're in a. We made progress as
here's the
America.
thing.
So
last week were, interesting circumstances.
Right.
To record an episode literally in the middle of what I would think we can now say was the most contentious night of the protest so far, for sure.
Oh
And now-
yeah, that was the night. That
At
was
least
the
here in
night
Los
that it
Angeles.
like that. Yeah, that Saturday night was the night that it was like that.
It was wild.
It popped off. It popped off, and then
It
that
was popping
Sunday.
off.
That Sunday, it was like it popped off. I would say it
Yeah.
popped off even harder that Sunday.
Yeah,
But I got
popped
a
off.
lot. I got a lot of arguments. Man.
It's been a long week.
It's been a good week
Officially
though. It's gonna be like yeah.
for sure. It's officially transitioned from day 1 and 2, which was kind of a little bit pandemonium, and then now it's more overall positive, and you don't have to worry about people making a constant byline of looters and rioters and shit like that, and making the focus all about that instead of It's good that that's not going on anymore, but
Dude, I know. I want to get.
Well, yeah. Well, why don't you just say, what have you been doing this week in regards to
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, so I went out with a bunch of people to Hollywood on Saturday for the march. Okay. So I have some like observations. All right. So overall, really cool. A lot of like very eclectic mix of people. Overall, really cool to see a lot of like white folk out there to put their
nationwide, by the way. Nationwide, by the way. It's very nice to see. Honestly, I think we've been a pretty like pessimistic bunch on this pod, but I will say it's been very reaffirming and positive to see action like that happen nationwide. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
dude.
restored my faith in humanity a little bit.
Right, and it's also, I will say, it's like exciting being out there too and seeing it, being a part of it.
For sure.
But here's my observation, dude. And this is what's interesting. And actually, I have an idea for that would kind of clear up this confusion. When you get, so it's like this specific march that I was at, this was BLM. This is Black Lives Matter. If you're here with Black Lives Matter, you're a part of that movement, all right? But a lot of times with these marches, there are other ideologies that kind of like conglomerate that are like not necessarily like perfectly aligned Venn diagram. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's like, so here's my main thing. Here's my main bit. It's if you're a white person and you're going to a Black Lives Matter rally, good for you. Don't bring a megaphone.
Yeah. Don't make it about you. Don't make it about you. Be a part of something instead of being the something for a change. You know what I mean? Like just be in the middle of something. Don't be the focus of it. You know what I mean? Just like kind of blend in.
It's such
Strength in numbers.
Dude, there was one woman there who at one point, I mean, I sent you a video that's kind of related to this, but she's kind of talking into it, and then her message kind of veers a bit. Like she's just yelling, and we're all at a stop, and she's yelling out of her megaphone, and it's kind of like she has all the attention, right? Because I think we're doing like kind of a moment of silence kneel thing, and she has all the attention, and then it goes on for about 12 seconds of her having complete focus until a black woman is like, she starts the chant, raise black voices. Okay. So, and everyone's,
Yeah.
you know, and we're all kind of like on the same page. We're like, yeah, let's kind of shout over this weird white lady yelling out of a megaphone with like her own rhetoric that's a
Yeah.
little bit too nuanced for like a general
a little
idea.
bit too much of a storyteller.
Right.
Too much.
Yeah, a little bit too much, and then like kind of like nuances into like the Obama campaign and shit, and then
Yeah, see, you can't give white people the mic. You just can't. Shut the fuck up, man. Just shut
What?
up.
white people bring their own mic, and that's
I know
privilege.
that's the problem. That's kind of the whole thing. You know, is that white people are bringing their own mic. They're bringing the megaphone, and yeah,
Dude. So and then people start yelling, and then they're yelling. We're all yelling, raise black voices, because we're like, yeah, that's, you know, because there's a group up ahead that it's like, you know, it's the head of it's the real head of our snake, you know, where we're supporting,
Yeah.
and then there's this like auxiliary heads like sprouting out of the shaft, and we're like, all right, like, so we're all yelling, raise black voices, and this woman starts saying like, we had Obama as president. He was to raise black voices, and that didn't work. And I'm like, yo, shut the
hold on.
and,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, so everyone just starts shouting out. And then I can tell the people she's with, who are black people, they're just kind of like, yeah, let's cool it. Let's cool it.
Yeah, let's chill. Listen, Carol,
Yeah.
we know your heart's in the right place, but you know you don't have a way with words right now. That just shows you how deep privilege is for some people. Like they can't
Oh.
even get out of their own way in terms of it. Like,
Yeah.
just shut up. Just shut up and let other people talk. That's the whole point. Let other people talk.
Yes.
It couldn't
yeah.
be much clearer. It couldn't be put on a plate more properly for you, white people. Like, let other people talk. It's the whole point.
That's it. And granted, we are not talking about the movement here, dude. We're not going to. We know where we stand. We're having a goofy good time.
We're not grabbing a megaphone.
Hey.
We're a guy
Nobody-
talking to himself in a building 3.5 miles away. That's, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Exactly.
there's no public discord to be grabbed in this scenario. You know?
No, y'all know how we feel. I'm just finding there were certain nuances of it that I found very interesting, and I find
Yeah.
the like being organized and having a group thought that's like we're all on the same page, and then the outsiders kind of moving in who are like, I kind of fuck with this ideology, but I have an addition, you know, or like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's like a group project in college. You know, when
Yeah.
everyone's kind of on the same page, but you got like a small coalition of like two dudes, you know, kind of in the corner, and they start going their own route, and they're more vocal than anyone else, but they're also, you know, a little bit more misguided.
They
Like,
didn't
okay,
come.
Just shut up. Come on, we all agreed that we're just gonna do
Right.
a book report, you know, on Chuck Palahniuk.
Yeah.
Like can we just do this and move on? Like, do we have to really overcomplicate this?
Well, and they like those guys, they didn't show up to like the mock presentation, so you don't even know what they're gonna do, but they have like the last 8 minutes is theirs to present. So you're like,
Yeah.
all right, well, we're gonna turn it over to Travis and Trey to close us off. I hope they did what they were supposed to and didn't, you know, didn't diverge in a completely new tangent. But we'll see. I don't know. I haven't seen what they've prepared. So
You never know. Let me ask you this: what's your response been to the militarization of the police here in Los Angeles? Because that's been, you know, that's probably been the biggest thing I've seen directly. Is just in my neighborhood alone. You know, not, you know, let alone the rest of Los Angeles. It's fucking crazy to see the goddamn, you know, National Guard parking a Humvee in front of an ice cream shop. You know, it makes you wonder if this is really doing any good and if we're really de-escalating things, you know. But what have you seen in your realm?
okay, here's what I'll say, man. I don't think you're gonna like it, but here's what I have to say.
Yeah.
Last week, I mean, if y'all watched the episode, you saw the footage. That shit, when I was there, that was a tense environment. That was
bad.
something where I'm like, there are guns, not to be like, but there was a gun pointed at me. Granted, it was a rubber bullet, but it's like there's people shooting guns and there's tear gas, and it was that was intense. All right, that felt very like trenches, you know? And I think
Yeah.
I have two reasons for that, okay? I've noticed if you're a stagnant rally, it's different, okay? And then if you don't have a leader, it's different, okay? If you have a clear leader and you have someone that everyone is kind of behind, but if the group is sharded out, it creates more chaos, and it also creates an environment where the police feel more scared, okay? And I noticed
that's
this.
the whole thing.
Right. But
That's the whole
so
thing.
my experience that Saturday, it felt like at any point in time it was going to be it was just going to, you know, full anarchy, but I was like I'm out. I'm out of there if it's all, you know, I'll flee.
Yeah.
You know, I got to and I'm not ashamed of that. But this on yesterday when we were marching, the movement is peaceful because you're moving along, which you would think like the motion would kind of create more chaos, but like, and then also the National Guard people, I'm gonna be real, National Guard people, you can tell that they work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car like tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
that's what I was
tell-
wondering. How many of these guys were like working at GameStop like 2 days
Oh.
before, and then all of a sudden they're like,
Yeah.
you know, they're jipping a guy on like a used copy of GTA 5,
No.
and then they get a phone call. They're like, hey,
Yeah, dude.
we need you to come down. You're like, oh fuck.
These
I'm
aren't
not
special
prepared for
forces,
this.
man. These are not special forces. And they also don't like, when you imagine like military guys in front of a Humvee, that you think that they're like standing at attention and like ready
Yeah.
at all points. Dude, they were just kind of chilling, hands in their pockets, like talking about like, oh, NBA's coming back here, 22 teams.
Listen,
you could tell it wasn't like, it wasn't threatening. They all had AK-47s, but it wasn't threatening.
Yeah, no, they didn't seem like a huge threat. They were definitely there was a lot of chilling going on because you
Yeah.
know, say what you will, you know, people love to. Do I feel comfortable having, you know, do I feel comfortable me going on a walk down Melrose the other day and there's just, you know, National Guardsmen with big boy guns, and I mean big boy guns, not this fucking AR-15 that you can get at Walmart. We're talking about like special ops type shit. Do I see them carrying these big guns to make me uneasy? Yeah, but then I'm also like, these guys they have no choice. They were forced to come here, and now they just kind of got to bear the brunt of just like looking like shitheads. Like the cops are.
Whoa,
one thing.
you're getting pro police. You're going, oh, you're just pro National Guard. You're saying
no.
You're a National Guard
We are
sympathizer.
not. No, we are not pro police. I'm just saying I don't. I'm not sympathizing.
What are you saying,
but it's more
Zach?
so like they're not. You can tell in their behavior and action that you're right. They had no idea, and they were not planning on this, and they've not been trained for this, dude. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care for the police or National Guard. No one really has training to handle like actual, you know, mobs, like giant coalitions of people. Like they don't. I don't know how they can prepare for something like that. Combat is one thing, but like actual civil, you know, disobedience is another.
That's
where you can't.
dude. You're right, because it's this weird. Sorry, I cut you off.
No. You
Okay. Well, you're right, because it is this weird environment. Because I was thinking about that too. Because I'm walking and I'm seeing these people, and I'm like, this is interesting, especially 3rd and Fairfax, where it felt really military, where they're like literally cops with their guns drawn. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, this is a weird, especially for National Guard, this is a weird environment for you because you're pointing your gun, but it's like, I can't treat you like in war. If it's like the Viet Cong, you're like, kill him. Kill the fucking enemy. If you see a guy running away, shoot him down anyway. Shoot him because he's the enemy. But if it's like, oh, these are civilians, because it's like, these aren't the enemy. They're dangerous. They fucking hate you. And quite honestly, we told you that. Yeah. So don't kill them. But if it's all anarchy, like you can't. You know, you can't just gun. You can't open fire. You know, you can't. So it's tough. Like I understand. No, absolutely not. No, they're not even trained for warfare, man. It's like, what is it? 2 days a month or something like that?
Yeah,
2 days a month. You go.
My dude's working. Yeah, my dude's working.
Crawl through some tires. Yeah,
my dude's working at Home Depot, stressing about paying the bills, you know, on his own right, and then all of a sudden gets a call that he's got to go quell a mob. It's crazy to see, like, when you talk to boomers about this, and the first thing they mention is property, you know? Like, how many boomers have you talked to about this? And, you know, whether it be my parents or whatever. And I say, yeah, you know, there's a lot of protests going on. People are upset here in LA. Like, tensions are high. Like, And then it immediately the first thing goes to, it's just like, well, I don't think they need to be destroying buildings or anything like that. I'm like, well, like when I hear someone say that, I'm like, oh, like like if you can't even understand like the sentiment behind this and like why people feel the way they do, we can't have a conversation. You know, we can't even have a conversation. Hope. It's not gonna happen.
There's you don't get it, and you're 50. You won't get it. You won't learn how to see something from another person's point of view. It's too late. That's okay. Just don't talk to anyone. You know?
Yeah, just shut up.
Don't have conversations with people because you have no ability to empathize with someone.
Yeah.
Because you see two videos, one of a horrific murder and then one of someone like robbing a Target, and one disturbs you, and the one that disturbs you is the one that shouldn't really disturb you.
For sure. And it's also weird to see, you know, this week there's been no shortage of just, it's like viral video after viral video of just tense racial encounters. You know, it's usually like, you know, a white dude pissed at people for protesting, or like a Karen getting in some, you know, lady's grill. Like this whole thing, it's like, there's so many videos. It's weird to watch them and weird to see. By the way, I'm trying to catch this on. You know, Karen, of course, is like a common. Everyone knows what a Karen is at this point, right?
Sure.
It's a blonde.
Oh
you know,
I didn't even
50s
feel
mom
like
who's pissed. No one is. The male counterpart of this is Jeff. It's a Jeff. It's a guy who's just, you know, there to start shit. And you see so many videos of these horrible encounters and guys who are pissed off at the protesters, and it's weird to see. I'm like, yep, that looks like my dad. That looks like my uncle. Fuck. They are part of the problem, you know? And I know I'm not alone, you know? How many people grew up in... If you grew up anywhere outside of a major city, you know people in your life, you're like, oh, this guy is problematic. And...
I'm proud to say I talked to my parents like this week. I think I talked to them on Saturday, and I think I talked to them again. But they're definitely like, I was encouraged by their perception of the situation, because it would have been like horribly disappointing because of how awful it was if they weren't feeling that awful. If I was if I was talking about like the situation and they were like, yeah, but do they have to loot? I would be like, I came to you for emotional support, and then you hit me with, you know, basic. It's
you hit me.
That's a racist sentiment. They didn't do this. They were very like, they were as disturbed as I was. So I was proud that I had parents that aren't pieces of shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Dude, if you're concerned, if you're like disturbed, like, did you have to destroy my Target? You piece of shit.
You missed
human
it.
garbage.
Well, we're conditioned to look out for property. You know, we're a society of capitalism. That's just what it is.
We're
right. Brought up to care about that shit first. So it's like programming that you got to break. You know, and there's also lines.
Yeah.
You know, people want to like whitewash something for lack of a better term. But like when it comes to like property destruction in terms of a protest, people love to just lump it all together. Like on the one hand, dude, if I see a busted up Target, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. You know, if no one was working, everybody's gone, and it's literally just their stock that was destroyed, I don't feel bad. They got the money. It doesn't matter to them. They don't care. The liability is more important to them than the actual property. But when you see like a small business,
it's all part of business.
But when you see a small business, you know, destroyed, that's another thing. But people like to lump it all into like one category. But so I guess like, you know, you just gotta like look at the people you talk to a little bit harder, I guess. You know, if someone's real pissed, you know, the Target in, you know, Cedarsville, Iowa just got burnt down. Like, come on, you know what? I don't. What hope is there? What conversation can we have? Like, you have no connection to that Target.
Yeah.
You give them they take so much of your money every week.
Yeah.
And you don't feel,
and
you still feel the need to protect them? Like, what? They need you.
Daddy Target, dude. I have a real dark thought, dude. Are you gonna roll with me on this?
I am.
And because
You know I am.
It is it's like, even even like Bill Simmons, he did a podcast where he's the Bill Simmons podcast, huge podcast, sold his company for $200 million. But you got to watch the way that your tone is, because you're right. In a lot of ways, some people, it's not their fault that they're fucked up, but like the way he was like lamenting the destruction of the cute little record shops on Melrose Avenue was, it was like, you could tell, yeah, it's a bummer, but then to have that level of like, just, to be that forlorn, and then when something,
it's like
infinitely more fucked up triggered it, it's such a bad.
It's a bad
look.
It
is such a bad look. It's the worst look.
Especially when your guy just sold your company for $200 million, and you're sad that like Melrose doesn't look. It's weird. It's like you find yourself in these like weird ethical catch-22s lately. Like on the one hand, you're like, yeah, it is a bummer to see all these small businesses in the Melrose district destroyed, but then you're also like, okay,
it's a bummer.
Is it a casualty?
It's a bummer.
Of war?
That's all.
It's a casualty. Like it sucks. It happened. Right. It's collateral. It's collateral damage. Collateral damage is never good.
Yeah.
It's never good. But it happens.
There's
whatever.
It's
it's fine. The fucking ultimate punk record store that Bill Simmons pretends that he goes to in order to look cool to a slightly hipster fan base of mild sports enthusiasts. Listen,
preach.
They're gonna market. Of course he's gonna go in on that. He's gonna go. The Ringer is like the whitest goddamn company that could possibly exist. And right. To hear someone come out and like immediately,
we don't gotta do them like that.
I'm gonna do them. They got money. They're winning. They don't give a fuck about our opinion.
Yeah.
Who cares? What I'm saying is, if you're a white ass company, you can't be going out putting out a podcast, and the first thing you're lamenting is the boutique shopping district. Like, you're right. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, you can't. If a tragic injustice happens in your country, talk about nothing else.
Yeah, maybe now's not the time, to talk about the vintage rock and roll T-shirt shop that unfortunately made its end to flames. Like it's not.
And that's the thing.
They'll be all right. They're on eBay.
But they got an eBay store. They got insurance. They'll figure it out. They'll be all right. They got so my parents, we had a fire. My parents owned an arcade. We had a fire. Let me tell you what happens, man. The building burns down. If you own the building, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but you have fire insurance. They own the building. They got paid for the whole building, and they got paid for the retail value of everything in it because it burned to the ground. Yeah. So the way that works is you have a retail store. You get, and I'm not an insurance claims adjuster or anything, but you get paid. You're insured for the entirety of your stock, and if it all burns down, you get paid. It's not, even if you didn't, it's unfortunate. And you know what, dude? Here's what I'm gonna, because we're gonna talk shit in the comments. But this is what I'm saying, dude. How cool is it? I'm gonna abandon my original thought, but how cool is it? I'm seeing like all these people. I'm seeing so much generosity with people trying to look after those who had businesses burned down, right? Yeah. Like, I'm giving, everyone at my work's giving, my parents are giving, we're all giving. To see that generosity, it's like a cool opportunity to see people say, hey, you know what? We made a lot of change, even with the burning and looting. There was I think it was all kind of part of it. So yeah, it sucks that you were a part of this. So here's something back. I'm sorry you were collateral damage, but we made progress. So let's all fucking give our money to these people who had to be a part of the collateral damage. Yeah. Come back to normal with better legislation for humans, you know?
For humanity as a whole. That's the thing. Yeah. It's weird to see, especially, walking around Melrose District the next day. Like, we went and walked Sunday right after it was destroyed. And, dude, for the most part, people are just, helping each other out, cleaning up. Just, getting it done. Yeah. It didn't seem like people were angry. It seemed like pretty much everyone universally kind of understood what was going on and understand that
Yes.
things boil over. And like, if
Yes.
that really bugs you to hear that, if it really irks you to hear, two dudes not really giving a shit about like property destruction, maybe you should look inwards as to why you value property more than, a human to human interaction. Maybe you should look inwards as to why you're so quick to just defend, like your boss's place. It's like no different than, it's like when you get like a cult going at like a Circuit City, when you get the whole fucking team thinking they're like, you guys gotta buy in, like you gotta sell, you gotta move these washers, man, you want to make these commissions, right? You're like, no, this is a cult, like you're making all the money, I don't make shit off this because you're giving me $5 a washer, like I get 40, I maybe get $20 for selling this bullshit TV. No, they're still billionaires, or you're still under them.
Maybe okay, but maybe your cuzzo gave you a job at his like vintage bowl making store. Okay,
yeah.
Let's say that he took a chance on you, just got out of jail, and he's gave you and someone burned down his place. Start a GoFundMe for him.
Yeah.
I gave to a bowl making place, not to flex on y'all, but like I gave some cash to everybody on Melrose, man. Like, make a fucking GoFundMe, dude. People are generous, dude. Their GoFundMe's overflowing with cash. Yeah. Like people are giving insane amounts, dude. Like, start a GoFundMe. People will give to it, and then you'll be back making bowls in no time, staying off the smack, dude.
God, can you imagine someone?
That was for one person.
Oh man, I can't imagine though. If you own some like boutique ass bowl company, like ceramic cereal bowls or some shit like that. Can you imagine?
Yeah, some shit like that.
People for money right now of all the causes. Can you imagine owning that and being?
Dude, swear to God, I gave to a bowl company, man. I'm not kidding.
No, I know.
I was
I'm
just like,
saying,
okay.
like, it's just.
I felt bad for the guy. I'm like, this
feel
is
bad
stupid
too.
enough. Who knows buying bowls as it is, man? Get this guy some cash.
Dude, the market
Who the
for
fuck's gonna go in
the
here?
market for bowls has always been, razor thin. Let alone pandemic and civil unrest.
Oh yeah, dude.
They can if you're hawking bowls, bro. Like you're struggling before all this. You're struggling 2017.
Exactly.
You need the help. I get that.
Let's be honest,
I'm just saying
dude.
it's got to be awkward
And
making the GoFundMe page. It's like when you're scrolling past all the help, the bailout fund, help the wrongly accused fund. And it's like, no, we got to get back to making these ceramic cereal bowls like that have vintage comic books in it, like that.
In reality, now that you're saying this, I have a feeling he was outside of his vintage bowl shop knowing it was a bad idea, considering insurance fraud anyway. And he was like, somebody loot the shit out of my store.
Please,
But the looters are like, I'm trying to get these Nike. I'm trying to get like the full collection of Nike Air Maxes. I ain't got hands to hold your bowls, man. Yeah. And so he was like, "Fuck it, I'm just burning the place to the ground."
That's what I gotta imagine.
Insurance
dude, I gotta imagine how many some dude standing on Melrose outside of his Japanese cassette store, like just vintage cassettes only, and he's like, you know what? Maybe I just got to do something else. Maybe the cassettes weren't the thing. It sucks that I had nothing to do with this getting burnt down, but I don't. America doesn't need cassettes right now. I got to do something else. Man, make some hand.
He starts to
I'll make some hand sanitizer instead. Dude, speaking of out of touch, man, I drove past the Beverly Hills Hotel today, which, they're not, not exactly the wokest. They're not going to go out there and make a, hard stance. You're not going to get a Ben and Jerry's type, company statement from the Beverly Hills Hotel. I drive by the Beverly Hills Hotel. They have a giant banner that they just erected within the last few days. Timeline's very important here. And it says, "Thank you all, like, health heroes, like health worker heroes." And I was like, okay. Here's am I a piece of shit? Here's this. I saw that and I was like, this is not the time, Beverly Hills Hotel. Like you kind of missed the boat a little bit. If you posted this, you didn't post anything. You didn't have a banner at all. Not in the last 3 months, there was no banner. And then the last 2 days, all of a sudden you're like, health heroes? Like if you're gonna make a banner, if you're gonna make a statement, like come on, at least make the right one. Health heroes. That's too much. That's so April, dude.
Let me see that BLM Beverly Hills Hotel. Let that BLM flag.
Step up to the plate,
Yeah.
rich bitches. Like, you're gonna come out here and say thank
Yeah,
you, health
dude.
heroes. Like, don't get me wrong, the nurses, the people holding down the hospitals, they are heroes. But come on.
What do you think this is? April?
We live in the era of optics, my friend. All right.
Yeah.
You can't be coming in 3 months late with the health heroes sign. You got to get out there with a BLM sign. You got to make a real. It was very. It's
Hot
contentious.
Hot take, dude. If you come in June 5th with a health hero sign,
I know.
You racist.
I know.
You racist. You're turning we got a big issue.
It's the Beverly Hills Hotel.
What
do you think, man? What do you think they got a real diverse board up there? You think they got, multiple cultures represented on their board of trustees? It took them 3 months to even sanction a banner for invisible, nurses that they've never even met.
Yeah.
How can you be this out of touch? Dude, if you're a company, if you're a company, you cannot be pressured into making a statement. You shouldn't. You can't do it. Either make a statement you actually stand behind, or don't make one. I really do stand behind that. You can see that's like sport now. It's sport for us as social media consumers to just go and rank every company's, response to the Black Lives Matter movement. And here's the thing. If you don't actually give a fuck, it's gonna come across that way. So you might as well just shut the fuck up and just lay back.
Yeah. Silence.
You think?
Silence is violence. For sure. Well, but people know now. People even me as a human being, dude. And for did I think the black squares did anything? It's no, but it's it's an optics thing for me. It's I'm out there fighting the good fight. I'm doing my thing. But yeah, I'm going to throw the black square up for the sake of, I did that for the white moms on my that follow my Instagram. I didn't do that for nobody, but that didn't do anything. I do other shit for my fellow human, but I just did that for the sake of I didn't want anyone. I did it. I went with it. You want to make it
clear. You want people to know where to stand, and that's a valid. That's a reason to do it. Sometimes you got to tell people. People like to. I don't know. There can be no.
It sucks. I gotta tell people.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. It sucks that you have to You have to tell people. You have to have a take now. You can't just try to live it through your actions. You have to feel pressure to post, something that everyone else is posting. But here's the thing, man. You can only lose by that game if you're playing it, So the people who are posting it, and if they got, called out for doing it, or you're a company that posts some ridiculous response. Ben and Jerry's posted a response that everyone seemed to fuck with. They put out a company statement, saying they were 100% with Black Lives Matter, how it's been going on forever, and you could tell it was people who were okay, these they get what's going on. They back it.
Yeah, and they wanted to further the cause. Yeah, exactly.
And then you got Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods. They're we're sorry that we were trying to sell firearms the day of this, outbreak. We're sorry that we didn't support the cause.
Did they say that?
No, I just assume.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
can't imagine. What's the Dick's Sporting Goods statement on Black Lives Matter look like? What do you think it is?
I'm gonna go with silence is violence, dude. I think they're staying, they're probably, there's that pussyfoot around thing where it's man, times are hard.
Yeah. No,
Get fucked,
you know what
dude.
I'm saying? You know what I think Dick's
times were hard times have been hard forever for your brothers.
Yeah.
So, that sort of thing, man, things are crazy now. I'm nah, dude, things have been crazy.
Ready?
We're just acknowledging that things have been fucked for the past ever.
You ready for Dick's Sporting Goods public statement? Here it is. It starts something along the lines of we here at Dick's know that there's never been it's an unprecedented time in America. We're experiencing things we've never experienced before. We just wanted to take a second and thank all of our first responders out there on the front lines helping keep order.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that I think that's what Dick.
That's choosing a side. That's choosing a side.
I know, and I think they would do that.
Choosing hard.
You know that they're not alone there. You know there's some big companies that are straight up backing the cops instantly.
Bass Pro Shop. Bass Pro Shops,
they're instantly like, let us be clear. Anti-police sentiment will not stand in our stores. We make our entire customer base are cops, or there are guys who are on house arrest. So either way, they know what it's like to be around police, and we're gonna back them. You know, that would be weird if Bass Pro Shops came out with a woke statement. I'm just gonna go on record saying that it's kind of better that It's kind of better that they didn't.
Dude, you know what? I think if I was a part of those companies that there were a lot of dudes coming in with camouflage hats. Yeah. The guys with cutoff tees and like jeans that they bought in high school.
A lot of Oakleys.
Never trust a guy in loose leg jeans, man. Oh, you ever see a guy and his jeans are like baggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a regular fit. I'm like, yo, dude, something's wrong with this guy.
Got the little painter strap.
Hasn't changed. Yeah. Never trust a guy in loose leg jeans, man.
Can't do that.
Or any guy in a camo. I got a guy, Ryan Dooley, if he ever listens to this podcast, which I think he does sometimes, but he wears a camo hat like every day. He looks like a guy that you'd be like, I don't want to talk about BLM with him because I'm afraid of what he'll say. But he's like,
I want to talk to this guy about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I want to bring up her take on it and see where he goes.
Yeah, he might got some opinions there, but he's a cool ass dude. But you know the type of dude where you're like, that guy, if he talks about, the current state of affairs, he's gonna talk about black on black crime like it's irrelevant from him and like it's the problem. He's gonna say that that's the issue. He's gonna say it's not.
Bass Pro Shops to have the same reaction. He's when he wakes up Monday morning and gets that spam email from Bass Pro Shops that says our response to the nationwide protest, and the first line is like, "We're sorry that people are making it difficult for you to come to our stores lately. We're sorry that people feel the need to destroy our community."
Right.
Yeah, it would be weird.
Sure.
It would be weird if they put out a Ben and Jerry's statement. If Bass Pro Shops was just like, we want you to know we stand unequivocally with Black Lives Matter. Every dude reading that would be like, oh.
I would love it. I would buy a gun from Bass Pro Shop if they were to say, well, here's our side. We're taking a hard stance on the side you did not think we would. And we are, because it's the right side of history, and we recognize that.
No,
even though we have questionable morals selling automatic weapons at our stores.
3 weeks before the protest, Bass Pro Shops is having company-wide meetings. They're like, we're hemorrhaging money. We're going under. We got to do something. And then this comes out. Some marketing guy's like, okay, here's the deal. Hear me out. We arm Antifa. I don't know. I just think it's, we can get the public back on us. We'll give Antifa guns, and we'll say we're pro Black Lives Matter, and we'll just kind of, rebrand. I think it would be a smart move.
That's like that marketing guy right there is saying, let's start a civil war.
Yeah. Because some of the
is what he's saying.
If you're a real, let's just say prejudice motherfucker who's a Bass Pro Shops loyalist. If you're getting an email that they're sending fishing poles to Antifa, to help feed themselves, you're not going to take that news well, and you're probably going to you're going to turn violent, and they're asking for trouble.
Yeah, because there's a lot of. Because it's funny, people are talking about like Antifa is just anti-fascist. I'm like, yeah, that's what it stands for. But it is an organization with a key set of values that are not necessarily non-violent. Yeah. So, everyone's like, I'm anti-fascist. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't mean you're part of Antifa. Because you read it. Go on their website,
I know
read
exactly
their...
what it is. You're 100% right. If people are like, no, it's just definitely anti-fascist. I'm like, that's true. But they're also pro, burning down... government centers and stuff like that, which, you might be pro. You might be pro burning down City Hall.
Right.
And in which case, you should join Antifa. They'll probably be very happy to have you. But...
I'm saying just go to the website. Read it. and decide, you know?
You can't have an anarchist organization though. The inherent flaw with like any kind of anarchist organization though is that it eventually gets to this point where you have to have a de facto leader. You need to have someone for the shit to roll up to. You know what I mean? And that's where those things struggle, is their lack of organization. But you know, it's no secret that any kind of like right-wing news organization, any kind of weird violence that happens in an event, they'll instantly just say it was Antifa, whether or not it was them. Most Antifa people are working at Starbucks. Okay, that's what people don't understand. It's like, you know, you like to view it as like this super, you know, militant group, but like, dude, come on, it's people working at Barnes and Nobles and like meeting on the down low for a good cause. But nonetheless, let's chill out. Like, people, have you seen this video of like the 7 foot tall Antifa soldier guy? Have you seen this?
No.
Oh my god, people love to post this clip. There's like this 7 foot tall dude who's like full riot gear, but he's Antifa, and he goes up and like gets on the front line of cops at like events and like stares him down a little bit. It's great.
There was a guy yesterday at the protest who was it's one of those, it's like, okay, I'm gonna describe this guy and what he was wearing. It's the equivalent of the reappropriated MAGA hat. You ever see the MAGA hat that says like "fuck Trump," but it's a red hat with white letters? Yeah. So at first glance, you're like, that's a MAGA hat, but then you have to like read it to get the full message of the hat. Yeah. So this guy he's in tactical gear. He's like weaponized with a bulletproof full mask and everything. All right. And he's holding a sign that says LAPD, but it's written out in swastikas, okay? And then he has an American flag, but it's black and white. And then it has some like, lot of text. Can't read it at a glance, right? So when you're looking at this guy, you're like, whoa, we got a infiltrator in the group. But then you have to read his message to be like, oh no, he's cool. Yeah. He's on our side. But he's just like, but he's weaponized. He was like fully weaponized, and like, you couldn't see his face or anything. If
you're gonna put swastikas on your sign, you know, 3 words, like fuck Nazis or like, you know, anything like that. You know, you gotta make it clear. You can't be having like you can't have a paragraph of prose on your sign. You got to make your point quick. No. Best sign I've seen this whole protest. You ready for this? Best sign I've seen here in West Hollywood. Very gay neighborhood. Bottoms, tops, we all hate cops. That's a sign. That's a good sign.
That's a great sign.
You got so many messages across there. 1, you are gay. 2, you hate the police. And 3, you're part of a community. We all hate cops. Yeah.
And you're clever, too. You're clever. And you're fun.
You're funny. You nailed it.
I've had these conversations with a couple people in my life. It's like the newly woke person who they have like very old ideas. So like the idea of like not evaluating other races as being like better or worse, or there being problems, is like a new idea to them. So they're like getting off on the idea of them being righteous. Like, they'll say, though, this was something someone said to me. They were like, yeah, like, you know, at first I was like, yeah, it's black people that are all looting. Like, so it's, you know, they're the problem. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, and cause they're looking at you, or they're like, you're probably thinking this. And I'm like, what? No. They're like, yeah, so I was thinking about this. So listen to this. Then I saw a video, white people looting too. And then I was like, oh, we're all dude. We're all the same. We're all looting. We're all oppressed. It's like we're all caught. Like this dude watches like one Joe Rogan episode. He's like, oh, dude, it's like we're all cockroaches. Like we all infest the earth. Yeah, like, exactly.
We're the ones. And like it doesn't matter if you're like, yeah, dude, I get it. Like you just finally thought about someone else other than yourself. That's
right. You know, you're like, dude,
that's a weird thing.
I was a piece of shit up until 8 hours ago when I watched an episode of Joe Rogan. I'm not then I'm like, they don't even see it that way. They're just like, you're probably that way too. I'm like, no, dude, I've been
No.
like, and they're just like, yo, listen to my gospel. I'm like, what the fuck? The fact that, and then trickled along with all this rhetoric that they're giving you is just a lot of like subconscious racism, and you're like, just don't talk to anyone ever again.
Just don't.
Shut the fuck up.
You know what
Yeah.
it is? Dude, it's people who can't possibly understand. It's people who can't possibly fathom the fact that like nobody wants to hear their take on it.
Yeah.
Like they feel compelled to like give their take. They're like, here's the thing. I was this is like a common thing now. Is when you hear white people start a conversation, they're like, listen, I know I'm racist. And I gotta fix that, and I gotta change myself. And you're like, okay, like just, all right, you're right, your sentiment's right, but like just
Cut
show
it there.
like come
Cut
on.
it there.
Like, you don't, just show it with your
Yeah.
actions, maybe. Like we don't need the, the whole screenplay
Right.
here. You know what an also awesome part of this is people who are trying to hijack the cause for their own
Ooh,
shit.
like what?
You
Or
know,
okay,
like
who you got?
like smaller. Yeah, it's funny because like I'm watching The Sopranos over now, and it's funny how many times they're like going to like a Native American protest against like Christopher Columbus, and they're going out there like we're Italians, we got rights. Like how many people are going to like Black Lives Matter protests? And like how many big fat Italian guys are going down there like, yeah, we're being discriminated against too. Like it's not just you. It's the Italians have been discriminated against forever, so we know what it's like. And you're like, no,
It's right.
Vito, stop, please stop. He's like, no, we know what it's like. We were used when we got here in 1920. And you're like, please, no, just stop.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about like the intersectionality. You know about this, right? It's like the idea of intersectionality. It's like, oh, I'm like this, like, oh, they try to like leverage some of the cause for themselves. It's like, whoa. This ain't about you right now, so don't try to like usurp a little power out of it. It's like if you're like, yeah, we're here with you. We were oppressed. It's like, no. This is so, because like, let's be real, dude. There's one group in society that like systematically has been treated poorly by every other race and has been taught to be that way, and they're at a significantly less advantage, and every race, and it's harder for them because there's the whole
Proliferate that.
yeah, there's the intersectionality where everyone's like, well, yeah, my people got their struggle too. It's like, yo, there is one specific race that has it way worse than everyone because our country where we live is built off their backs, So it's like,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like the people who talk about this whole thing and they can't even like grasp that basic concept of them. Like, dude, we can't talk. We can't have a dialogue. It's not possible.
Dude, do you remember that Nicole?
I would love.
Do you know that Nicole? Nicole Arbor. You know that name?
Yeah.
She made that video.
She's like the.
She made this.
She's like an influencer, right? Or Instagram celebrity.
Yeah.
Instagram comment.
She did that YouTube like Dear Fat People. Do you remember that? It's just like, yeah. So she did a couple.
I was greatly offended
after the Donald Glover did that. This is America, just like
this
great piece of art. She did a parody and she bit it and did like a female version of it, and it was just like, it was one of those where it was such a step in shit where you're like, yeah, dude.
You couldn't help but like dig in with a knife and fork. You just couldn't. You just had to eat.
Yeah, you gotta just enjoy the ignorance, man.
You know what I've realized I've loved like recently is just watching police chases. Like we've been watching all this live coverage.
Oh yeah,
you've been watching. We'll send
They're
each other
awesome.
periodically.
I'm not proud of it. I'm actually ashamed of this, but go on.
Yeah, no, that's fair. There's a YouTube channel called Smoke and Scan, which I'll plug him. It's good shit. It's a dude who's like. It's a guy who's like into police scanners. He's got a YouTube show. He'll like, basically narrate, a police chase. He was covering all this coverage. Is he a little pro cop? Yeah.
Does it feel that way?
Like, He's a little
Yeah.
pro cop. He's a little pro cop, which is concerning, but you go into it with the kind of mindset of, okay, well, I'll take what he says with a grain of salt. I'm here for like the live action. I'm here for like the live footage of, a car chase, not necessarily this guy's. Anyway, great show. Little pro cop. He'll do like aerial coverage of the protests, like that's what I would watch last weekend when it was all going on, when it would turn like destructive and stuff like that. And then lately this whole week, he'll just be going live, talking over people marching down Sunset or whatever. And I realized that I cannot get enough of just like watching just a live feed of the city you're in. I don't know why, but I realized I was like, this is my shit. I could watch this for 8 hours.
Well,
straight up.
yeah, but that's where I was at, where I was like, when I see that shit, I'm like, yo, I want to be out there in the danger to a degree. When it's shit like that, when it's like, well, even with the protests and stuff, I see that and I'm like, yo, dude, this is where exciting shit is happening. So I have that inclination of like, I like watching it, but I get this like FOMO if it's in my hometown, if it's in my hometown, I'm like, yo, dude, especially if it involves a lot of people, it's like, yeah, I kind of want to be out there with a camera or some shit,
something's happening.
Yeah.
Something's happening. And I'm,
right. And whatever it is.
You're either part of it or you aren't.
And it's cool to be on the opposite side of the cops. You know what I mean? You're like, yo, I'm like that. Cause it's easy to side with a guy with a gun, but to be on the other side with no guns,
it's
like,
pretty convenient.
It's kind of cool.
I think that's like the double-edged sword. Is there have been a lot of people complaining that there'll be like younger white kids, like teens, at a protest, and they're there, and they'll walk away and be like, "Oh, that was fun," and then they treat it as like a sporting event, like going to like the the Reds and the National League Championship or something like that. Like it's not quite the same.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, I kind of made a point. When I went last week and I brought my camera and I was like trying to get some footage, and then I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, because I did have that, obviously I did have that desire to be just in a place where shit might go down, but I had to keep in mind that like ultimately I didn't consider myself a journalist. I considered myself a part of the protest, and I like kept it in my mind to behave in a way where it was obvious which side I was, and I wasn't a, onlooker, a like objective observer. I was like, which is tough because it was there. I can't be like, don't get excited at the threat of danger. Like I can't do that. I just have to keep in mind like what my primary purpose is while I'm here, because I know I will get overwhelmed with the idea of like thrill seeking,
How can you think that's okay?
All right, Drew Brees, the way he was asked, I don't know if someone asked him, I don't think he tweeted it, but he was like asked about kneeling, because the NFL this week, Roger Goodell admitted that they got it wrong, that they stand on the side of like understanding what the message behind kneeling during the national anthem is. And Roger Goodell apologized, which was pretty cool, I think it's pretty dope. It probably just some PR shit, but like it's still cool. So Drew Brees was asked about it, and he went, I don't know what exactly he said, but it was basically like, they're disrespecting the flag. My grandpa died in Vietnam. It's like, it was basically that. And then I think he all he was doing was like, what's the right answer? And then he said that, and then someone probably went up to him after he's off mic and was like, yeah, that was the wrong answer, man. Like you're getting torched on, and then he had to redact it, dude.
Well, how can
you go ahead. That's what happened.
How removed from society do you have to be to someone ask you a question like that, and your first thing is the flag? Like, you're gonna come out here and be like, well, I'm not gonna stand for the flag, dude. It's a fucking
or not the flag. It wasn't the flag. It was the troops. The idea.
No, it was. He said the flag. He said the flag.
Was it the flag? Okay, all right. Sorry. I wasn't sure. Okay.
He's like, I'm not gonna have a situation where the flag is disrespected. And it's like, okay, I get that sentiment, and like, you're right, like, country pride is like one thing. It's not necessarily a positive thing for the most part, But I get it. I get where he's coming from. But you're just like, dude, come on. You ain't gonna bring that first. Look at your team. What are your interactions like at work? Look at the people you work with every day, and you still would say that? That dude straight up, you see that and you're like, oh, bro, I forgot. That's Purdue University. That's like,
Hey, he's from Texas, dude. He's from Texas,
That's
man.
grew up in Texas, went to Purdue, Indiana.
Don't put it on Purdue, man. That's my alma mater, man.
I'll put it on Purdue.
Don't do me like that, man.
I don't know. You see that?
He got that from Texas. He didn't get that from Indiana.
Hey, he fostered it in Indiana. I don't know. You're probably right. It's weird to see it and you're like, oh, you're the old guard. Like, you see that now. It's weird how so quickly now you see that and you're like, dude, you're out. You're an old fogey, man. You are out of touch. You're not even in the same program as everyone else. You're gonna come out here, and he's also, I think he's like a Trump supporter. I think he's like photographed with Trump in the past, which I don't think added to his case. I think that kind of was the nail in the coffin for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's wow. I'm like realizing more and more. It's like it's like a lifelong struggle to not be a piece of shit. Isn't it that weird?
Yeah.
Like your entire life is like it's a lifelong struggle to not. You're never like in the clear. You're never like, oh, I'm in the clear. I'm a good guy. It's nah, dude. Life is a lifelong struggle to not be bad.
It's also a lifelong struggle to like rewire and reprogram a little bit to be like, okay, maybe this scenario I grew up in wasn't exactly
right.
The best in every regard.
It keeps pulling you back though. It's just like always kind of like pulling you back, and then there's like little things triggering it, and you're like, maybe I was right before,
Yeah, you turn he's taking the fear. He's like, no, I was right. I think I was right before. I'm back
dude.
into it.
It's scary shit, dude. Raising children is I'm gonna like let my children just figure their shit out. I'm gonna take no responsibility for the thoughts and opinions of those I bear.
Just go full blank.
Like,
just provide food and shelter and just general,
it's like
general life
morality
tips.
questions. Morality questions. I'll teach you how to
North Star.
I'll teach you. Yeah.
This is how you cook food.
Right.
This is where you can procure water. You need to learn Chinese. Like just basic like things like that, and then just let's just see. That's great. That's actually a good idea for the next kid. If I have a kid,
no discussion of right and wrong. If a kid does something, I'm gonna make my kid a pure product of his environment. That is the only way you can win as a parent now, is if you make your kid a 100% product of the environment. Therefore, you cannot take responsibility for it. You could put it all off onto the society and weird shit that they grew up in. Your kid turns out to be like a real piece of shit. And you're like, look, I haven't even touched him. All I did was feed him, shelter him, tuck him in. That's it. Anything else, he asked the wolves.
I'm sorry he burned down the federal building. Okay, but I did my best. Isn't that all we can? That's all we can do.
All right, I have to finish this train of thought before I'm too high, okay? But what if you just you're raising a kid, man. You take him to the park, he starts beating on someone else's kid, and the other dad's looking at you like, hey guy, your son's beating the shit out of my kid. I'm gonna give you a second to do something so I don't have to. And then you look at him and you're like, oh, I don't discipline my kids. You can do whatever you want to him. Just he learns the consequences through someone else. So he beat the shit out of your kid, then you beat the shit out of him. I am not responsible. I'm letting him. I am not being the barrier of consequence for him to just altercate with another person. I'm just gonna let him do it and have the other person whoop his ass. Beats me. I don't know. You let life discipline them rather than you kind of whoop, no. Bad boy,
Yeah. That's
Did that make any sense, dude?
No, it does. That's called being a 21st century parent. I think it's good. I think we need to take a less active role. I think we just need to basically the metaphorical equivalent of just letting a kite go. Just let the wind take it. And I'll give it a house. I'll give it some food. But just let the wind take it. you know,
Right.
let's see what
You
happens.
got it out in the wind. You got it out in the wind, and that's all you said you'd do.
Yeah. Hey, you flew a kite. It's
Yeah.
like you didn't fly one at all.
Right. Right. Especially, yeah, if you're like, hey, man, that bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, all filled out.